What's up, everybody? It's me. I'm back again. It's Enrique with another BRAP rant. I was not anticipating in doing another rant so soon. I did one yesterday, as a matter of fact. If you didn't check out that rant, definitely check it out. Talk about fanboys and Digital Foundry not being quote unquote biased anymore towards Xbox. Um, but some big news actually took place yesterday evening. And give me a sec here. I'm just adjusting my volume. Um, Big news took place yesterday. So, as many of you know by now, some people will refer to it as the infamous NeoGAF. um, the NeoGAF is shut down, and for so many years, a website was, the place to be heard, to be seen. Where you would get inside information. It had members who were quote unquote industry insiders. You often found developers, media types, um, posting in this forum, interacting with members, and you had to have your membership approved. So, in some ways, it had this maybe appeal of this exclusive club of gamers, and it's shut down now. And look, I was never a member of NeoGAF. I know people that are or were. Um, I know that in the last couple of years, it had become very toxic. There was definitely a lot of um, what I would say anti-Xbox sentiment, propaganda floating about in NeoGAF that I thought at times was a little bit over the top and ridiculous. And you may disagree with me on that, with that assessment. That's fine, but it was. I really felt like they really kind of, in a lot of ways, kind of helped fuel the console wars a little bit. This console gen. Um, and again, you can disagree with me. That's fine. This is just my opinion, my observation of what I saw, things that I had seen. Now, that's not to say that everybody in the forums there in NeoGAF, that everyone was involved in console wars or was a crazy fanboy. I've met some really great people that were on NeoGAF. Um, Shinobi. I've had the pleasure of meeting him and having him on this podcast. Really great guy, down to earth, loves gaming, very passionate about gaming. He's probably one of those, um, you know, uh, I guess if you want to say iconic figures from GAF, insiders that people recognize. And there's others. There was others there too, but you can't help but think that with some of the, and again, this is just what my 2 cents, what I thought of NeoGAF. It seemed very toxic. It seemed like something to me was always off about that place. It seemed like people had like, and I remember talking to people who were like, "Oh, I got banned for saying something, and I don't know why they banned me when another person said something similar and they were fine." It's just, I don't know. I'm just, it just seemed like it was a dysfunctional place. I mean, you think, and this is big news, people, because this website was considered the biggest gaming website, the biggest gaming forum. I mean, I remember people saying that GAF was the voice of the industry. I had people tell me that, and didn't necessarily agree with that. I thought that maybe perhaps they took themselves a little bit too seriously. Maybe they took their, uh, whatever power they thought they had or influence in the industry they thought they had maybe a little bit too seriously. And maybe there was some influence here. I don't know. I mean, again, I wasn't there. I wasn't behind the scenes, but I remember it was toxic. It seemed toxic. It fueled console wars. I remember hearing people being banned for saying things that were very trivial. Like, why trivial in the sense of trivial? Why are you banning this person for saying that a certain game on, let's say, the Xbox runs well? I mean, I would see those things, you know, and it wasn't, again, not everyone there was necessarily involved, because again, I know people that were on GAF that weren't doing the whole console war stuff. You know, I met some really good gamers, some really good guys that were members on GAF, Mr. Negative being one of them. Most of the guys on the SDGC podcast, great group of guys. You know, none of those guys are crazy fanboys. You know, the drunk cat. I mentioned Shinobi earlier. I mean, the list can go. The list goes on and on. I mean, there's several people that I just met that were members of that website. So, you know, this is I just think that this is probably better, maybe for the probably better for the gaming community. And I say that based on what I saw the last couple of years from some of the conversations, the propaganda and stuff that was going on there. I mean, so I'm sorry here, guys. I'm just trying to adjust some things here on my computer, some settings. So I apologize. All right. So anyhow, so essentially what happened, the reason why the site shut down is that the founder owner of NeoGAF, Evilore, or his real name is Tyler Malka. Um, he's been accused of allegedly sexually assaulting someone, a woman, and it just this led to this led to just a big kind of exodus of a lot of the moderators and admins on the site. I mean, many of them pretty much in, I think, a show solidarity to stand up against this kind of behavior. And it's crazy because, you know, we're just fresh off the heels of, um, you know, the whole thing with Harvey Weinstein and his, you know, sexual assaults, alleged sexual assaults on, you know, different Hollywood actresses, and the countless women that have been brave enough to come out and share their stories and, um, you know, talk about this. Um, you know, it just it's amazing. And then after the hashtag Me Too movement, you know, that this comes out, and now, you know, as a result, as a result of you know, someone making this accusation, or bringing this alleged accusation of sexual assault against this individual, NeoGAF, the site is just shut down. It's just amazing. Just given, you know, if I look big picture, given the circumstances, given what's transpired the last couple weeks. And I said this, you know, I said this when we talked about, um, oh, and then, you know, in light of the accusations of the allegations against Naughty Dog and Sony for allegedly covering up a sexual assault case or matter that happened that was reported to Sony HR, where the individual was allegedly dismissed because of reporting this. And so here we are. We have Hollywood, we have the gaming industry, and all these things, similar things are coming out. And I think it's about time. I think it's about time. This is a good thing. People need to talk about this. I said this a couple weeks ago when I did a rant on the whole Naughty Dog Sony thing. These are serious matters. Sexual assault is not a it's nothing to take lightly. Sexual harassment is nothing to take lightly. And it needs to be talked about. It needs to be brought forward because as scary as it may be to come out and share that story, it has to come out because if it doesn't, nothing's ever going to be done. It needs to we it's something that needs to be there needs to be more awareness. Shit, I'm still shocked that we somehow managed to elect a president who bragged about grabbing pussy. I mean, was on tape bragging about sexually assaulting women. What's up, Fall of Duty? Fall of Duty says I never went to NeoGAF. Didn't really miss much by not going. Um, but that's the crazy thing. Like, and I think about this, and not to get all political, but I think about sexual assault and people denouncing sexual assault, and these same people voting for a president who was caught on tape saying that he grabs women's pussies and that it's perfectly okay. Um, these things need to come out. These things need to come to light. These things need to come to light. And I think just we have a saying in corporate America, if you will, when it comes to corporate culture, everything comes from the top in terms of corporate culture. It comes from leadership. A company's identity, its internal culture, how people treat each other, all comes from the top. And again, this is my own observation. I wasn't a GAF member. My own observation is given the kind of the level of dysfunction or some of the things that I saw. Obviously, we know about there's another, and I don't remember his name at the moment, but there was another former um, moderator at GAF who I believe was arrested or accused of pedophilia. So, and I'm not saying that everyone in GAF is like that, like they're all pedophiles or not good people, the admins, whatever. I'm just saying that um, there seems to be a little bit of dysfunction um, amongst that particular group that I just noticed that you could see, and it wasn't everyone. I want to make that clear, but perhaps those things it's another example where things come from the top. I'll say this much: um, my own series, my own thoughts about this. I'm actually I'm okay with GAF going away. I think it's better for the gaming community if GAF does go away. Colin Moriarty basically tweeted out yesterday that more or less, and I'm paraphrasing, um, he wasn't he wasn't losing sleep over GAF shutting down. He thought it was toxic, and no one in the industry really cared for them. In hindsight, didn't really care for GAF, and I can see that because again, in some instances, they would treat people like ass, like they were dicks to people. And by the way, this story with the sexual assault allegations against the website's owner, Tyler Malka, or a.k.a. Evilore. Um, this has gone mainstream. I mean, Rolling Stone's reporting this right now. But I got to be honest with you, I'm not going to miss NeoGAF. I'm not going to miss some of the things that community fostered. I'm not going to. I think that, in some ways they certain people um were part of the console wars. Mikey Barr actually tweeted something last night, and I'm not sure if this has been clarified yet, but he said, "Glad to see things finally burning to ashes." And people assume that that was had something to do with NeoGAF. But I'm not even sure if he I'm not so sure if he's come out and said this is if he's made any other comments or statements regarding his statement about NeoGAF. And I'll say this, he's an executive, and I can understand his frustration by NeoGAF, because let's face it, NeoGAF exactly wasn't very friendly towards things Microsoft related, and in part I can understand why people were obviously upset about some of their policies early on 2013 with DRM and stuff. I get that, um, but I think as an executive, you don't show your cards to the public. I can understand you feeling that way, but I think you have a duty as a professional, as an executive of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, to represent that corporation in the best light, and not put your cards on the table, not put your emotions out there, especially to a gaming community that, in some instances, looks up to you. And I think that if Mikey Barra, if that tweet, "Glad to see things finally burning to ashes," if that was clearly directed at what was going on at NeoGAF, I think it's done in poor taste. You can disagree with me, but I think that as an executive, as a representative of a business, um, you need to hold yourself in public to a higher standard, even behind closed doors. I mean, how many times do we see executives get in trouble for saying things behind closed doors that come out that aren't necessarily appropriate or professional, or don't put or paint that corporation in the best light. And I think this is an instance where, again, Mike, I can understand your frustration, maybe towards NeoGAF, but keep those things to your chest, because I think, unfortunately, what that does is kind of fuel that subculture within the Xbox community. And I speak of that subculture that is toxic, and you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what people I'm that I'm regarding that I'm that I talking about here. Um, these people, these individuals in that subculture, have this toxic narrative that they're pushing, and I think that this further fuels that. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people get sucked into that toxicity, and and it's not just NeoGAF. It's these subcultures on both the Xbox and PlayStation side. So I hope, and I don't know if there's been clarification, if we clarified his statement, but hopefully, Mike, that wasn't necessarily directed at GAF, because, again, if you think it was, man, it was probably done in poor taste, man. Like, you're an executive, you're a grown man. Don't take that shit to heart, man. you know, I mean, you do to an extent because you're passionate and you love what you do. But this is a website at the end of the day, and you're an executive, and you need to represent your company in the best light. And I just don't think that was the best way to do that. So that's my opinion on Ibarra's tweet about NeoGAF. So, um, if you guys disagree with me, that's let me know in the comment section. I'd be really interested to know your feedback on Ibarra's comments of the "glad to see things are finally burning to ashes," because that's basically what's happened here at NeoGAF. But I'll say this: I really think, honestly, I think the gaming community is better off without NeoGAF. I think that in some ways it was a haven for um, fanboys. I think that um, there was things there that I saw that I just couldn't that I just I that were just a turn off for me. The console warring, the constant bashing of companies. It seemed to me it was more directed at Microsoft. It just, yeah, I just don't think I think the gaming community would be better off without them. I really do. And who knows? I mean, who knows if these admins or former mods go out and they start another website? There was some kind of fake website actually that just went up. I saw it earlier this morning, but who knows if that's the case? If these guys go out and start another website, if they do, I would encourage them. Create something for everyone, for all gamers. Because we're all part of a greater gaming community. That's the one thing that ties us together, our common bond that we have a love and passion for video games. But let's not try to censor or push a narrative or control the messaging in the forums. Let people talk. So long as it's respectful, that's fine. Let people share their opinions. I get the sense that you couldn't do that at times in NeoGAF, which is unfortunate. It's almost like they were, trying to control that narrative, trying to control the messaging. And I'm wholeheartedly against things like that. I'm okay with people expressing their differences of opinion so long as it's respectful and not crazy. Like when people stalk gaming journalists. Oh my god, that's another story. I'll try to pull up Colin Moriarty's tweet on NeoGAF again. Cliffy B had some choice words to say to NeoGAF, and this kind of gives you the insight into. I know Cliffy B really is somebody who clearly speaks his mind, but he said back on June 18th of 2014, he said, "NeoGAF, I'll let you in on a secret. Most of the hundreds of developers I know avoid you like the plague and think you're mostly cunts." Colin Moriarty's tweet yesterday: "NeoGAF is a shithole, pure and simple. It provided nothing of value, and no one actually in the gaming industry liked, respected it. Bye bye." Yeah, and that's to me that opinion that site that what he's saying there is kind of how I felt when I would go to those forums sometimes. It was toxic. It was a cesspool at times. I don't think it was always like that from just talking to people that were there or had been there for a couple of years. Um, and it sounded like it had changed and it evolved into that. Um, and I think perhaps maybe this guy's maybe the owner, the founders, maybe his head got a little bit, or his ego got a little bit too big. You know, maybe he thought he was the industry. Maybe he thought he had influence in the industry and he had some kind of sense of power, some sense of entitlement. That's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. You know. So now that NeoGAF's gone, there's this vacuum. So where all these people go? That's the question I have. Where all these people go? And hopefully they don't come on Twitter. And I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter commenting that ultimately NeoGAF collapsed too because of its content. Because it was a cesspool. It was toxic, and that's my observation. What I saw, I think most people would agree with that. It was toxic. It was not a good place to go to. And I was surprised to see so many people um, revere it as some kind of like rite of passage. I hear people talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's NeoGAF, and it's the voice of the industry, and it's where developers go." And yeah, but they lost the respect of the people that used to go there. You can only be a dick so long before people eventually call you out and there's backlash against you. I mean, that's just natural. It happens. You can only put out this negative propaganda for so long before it catches up to you and people turn against you. That just happens. That's what happens. Wow. So this is big. This is big news. I mean, I'm still shocked by it. I remember having conversations with people, years ago. Wow, what if NeoGAF went away? I mean, no, it'll never go away. It's too much influence, too much power, too much of a voice. And here we are. Here we are, 2017, and it's no longer there. It's gone. It's gone. So NeoGAF, 2006 to 2017. Rest in peace. On that note, I'm out. And hey, if you haven't done so, check out yesterday's BRAP Rant and this past week's podcast. And we'll be back on next Wednesday again at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to give us a like, hit that like button, people. Subscribe. Also, remember Chicken Spaghetti, who's a great guy in the gaming community. He's actually donating a PlayStation 4 gaming console for us to give away for the holidays for free. And we'll be giving away this game console to one of our lucky subscribers free. Um, I can't thank Chicken enough for doing this, for picking us to be one of the podcasts that he's going to give a PlayStation 4 away to an individual who subscribes to this show. I mean, that's just tremendous. Guy is a stand-up guy for doing this. I really appreciate it. We all do. So big shout out to Chicken Spaghetti. We'll have some details coming up here shortly, the next couple of weeks as we get closer to the holidays about the contest rules. But you do have to be a subscriber to the podcast in order to be considered, or in order to enter the contest to win a free PlayStation 4 console this holiday. So on that note, I am out. Again, rest in peace, NeoGAF. And can't say that I'm going to miss you. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Unless some other crazy news happens the next 24, 48 hours. I may be doing another rant. You never know. I might. So, all right, everyone. For those who came in and dropped by to say hello and listen to this quick rant, much appreciated. Thank you for your support. Love each and every one of you. Enjoy your rest of the Sunday. We'll catch you guys Wednesday. Peace.